Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is taken from Canto 2. That's the title, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 6, Purusha Shukta Confirmed. And this morning we're doing text 30. We're very fortunate to have Her Grace Madhavi Gaurangi from ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. It's my great fortune to be here in the association of all of you, all you nice, exalted Vaishnavas. Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity once again. So we will start.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivare Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivare Dhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Sharad Bihari, Radha Sharad Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Sharad Bihari, Radha Sharad Bihari Radhe. Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Jagannath Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya, Gauranitai, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottarshad Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottarshad Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय.
Jai.
राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन धाम की जय.
Jai.
गंगामयी की जय, जमुना
Jai.
की जय, भक्ति
Jai.
तुलसी महारानी
Jai.
की जय,
Jai.
समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय.
Jai.
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि.
Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Hare Bol.
Jai. Shri Shri Guru.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna. So, as Prabhu has already introduced, that we are reading from Canto 2nd, chapter number 6, and today we will be covering text 30. So, Canto 2nd, Cosmic Manifestation, chapter 6, Purusha Shukta confirmed, and text 30th. Tataś manavaḥ kāle ījire ṛṣayo pare pitaro vibudhā daityā manuṣyāḥ kratubhir tataś manavaḥ kāle ījire ṛṣayo pare pitaro vibudhā daityā manuṣyāḥ kratubhir tataś manavaḥ kāle ījire ṛṣayo pare pitaro vibudhā daityā manuṣyāḥ kratubhir vibhum. Anyone would like to repeat or chant the verse?
Tataś manavaḥ kāle ījire ṛṣayo pare pitaro vibhudhā daityā manuṣyāḥ kratubhir vibhum. Hare Krishna.
tataś manavaḥ kāle ījire ṛṣayo pare pitaro vibudhā daityā manuṣyāḥ kratubhir vibhum. Hare Krishna.
ततश्च मनवः काले ईजरे ऋषयो परे पीतरो विबुधा दैत्या मनुष्याः क्रतुभिर्विभुम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare.
Anyone else? Okay. So we will proceed further towards synonyms. Tataḥ, thereafter. Cha, also. Manavaḥ, the Manus. the fathers of mankind. Kāle, in due course of time. Ījire, worshipped. ṛṣayo, great sages. ṛṣayo, great sages. Pare, others. Pitaro, the forefathers. Vibudhā, the learned scholars. Daityā, great devotees of the demigods. manuṣyāḥ, mankind. Kratubhir, vibhum, by performance of sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, the Manus, the fathers of mankind, the great sages, the forefathers, the learned scholars, the Daityas, and mankind performed sacrifices meant to please the Supreme Lord. Purport. The Daityas are devotees of the demigods because they want to derive the great possible material facilities from them. The devotees of the Lord are eknishtha, or absolutely attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, they have practically no time to seek the benefits of material facilities. Because of their realization of their spiritual identity, they are more concerned with spiritual emancipation than with material comforts. Thereafter, the Manus, the fathers of mankind, the great sages, the forefathers, the learned scholars, the Daityas, and mankind perform sacrifices meant to please the Supreme Lord. Let's pay our humble prayers to those teachers, to acharyas who have given this knowledge to all of us, through which we are able to understand the conclusion of the Shastras. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu evacha patita nama pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you again so much for this wonderful opportunity and seeking blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas in this assembly so that I can speak something which is of relevance for today's subject matter. So before starting any kind of discussion, we perform Mangalacharan, or this Mangalacharan I was reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. It has been given, although it's not the topic of discussion for today, but still, whenever we perform Mangalacharan, we should always remember this, because it's very wonderful that Mangalacharan is divided into three ways, or it can be done in three forms. First is namaskaram, or paying obeisances to our leaders, to our teachers, and the second way is offering benedictions, that Mangalacharan invokes benedictions, benediction for the hearer or for the listeners of the subject matter. And also it gives us Vastu Nirdesh, that means the objective of the subject or objective of what we are doing. So I think it's really, really beautiful whenever we perform Mangalacharan prayers. We all should be remembering that we are paying our obeisances, and at the same time, it is imparting, it is giving benedictions to all the assembled devotees as well as to all the living entities who are also present in the form of other gross bodies. So these Mangalacharan prayers are very auspicious, and these Mangalacharan invoke the auspiciousness in the entire environment. So Srimad Bhagavatam, as we know, is the essence of all the Vedic literature. Vedavyas Muni, who has given us all these scriptures, all the books, he has written Vedanta Sutra at the end of all the dividing Yajurveda into 4 different books, and then Upanishads, Puranas, histories, Itihasas, all this. After that, he wrote Vedanta Sutra. And even after Vedanta Sutra, he has given us Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran, which is the essence of essence. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the condensed form of the conclusion, which we all should be knowing, specifically in this age of Kali. So our reading and getting together this morning time is very auspicious. That's the process is given to us by our beloved most Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, to all of us, so that at the start of the day, we can learn and we can apply the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in our life, so that we can proceed forward in our devotional life very smoothly and swiftly. So that's being said about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we are on a very important, although all the sections of Bhagavatam is very important, but this section specifically of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the process of creation. And process of creation has been repeated in certain places in Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically in Canto 2nd, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, Chapter 10, and then Canto 3rd, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, Chapter 26, Chapter 24. The reason is not that the speaker, that Shukdev Goswami, is repeating because Maharaj Parikshit was not understanding the subject matter at one time. But the reason is that there are 2 different conversations which are going on, and under the headings of those different conversations, the process of creation has been given by different speakers. So Parikshit Maharaj, we have seen in chapter 4th, he has asked Shukdev Goswami about the process of creation, and Shukdev Goswami is replying back to him by referring Narad Brahma Samvada. Narad Brahma Samvada, or the conversation between Brahma and Narada. And in Canto, and at the end of Canto 2nd, Parikshit Maharaj is going to ask Shukdev Goswami about the conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. So Vidura and Maitreya Samvad makes the major portion up till the Canto 5th. And this Samvad also include the process of creation, which we are going to see again. This similar kind of chapter, similar kind of discussion will going to appear in chapter 5, chapter 6 of Canto 3rd. So this process of creation is very, very important, although it's technical and complex, but it's very important for us to understand, not only because we just want to know that, God is great, but at the same time, if the basics and concepts are not clear to us, then how it is possible for us to apply those concepts in our daily life? Because what we are practicing Vedi sadhana bhakti. And Vedic sadhana bhakti, in order to even start Vedic sadhana bhakti, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had said that Drid Vishwas or full conviction is required. And what is the definition of full conviction or Drid Vishwasa or Drid Shraddha? It's the absolute belief on the conclusions of the scripture. Shastrat Vishwasaha. That's the definition. Absolute conviction or absolute belief on the conclusion of the scriptures. So when we read all these things, so the doubts come into our mind, and we can see that these doubts are being addressed by Vidura in Canto 3rd, when there is a discussion between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So these doubts come into our heart, and it makes us, it makes us to feel that how it is possible that, all these things are happening. We don't know that, how this happened or how did this ever happened. So that's what the Shastras or these books of knowledge, scripture come into place. Because something which we cannot experience with our senses, with our material cross senses, we have to understand it by the authority of word, Shabda Pramana. So here the scriptural information and scriptural knowledge come into being. Although many times it has been said that, we are not on a Jnana Marga, we are on Bhakti Marga, so we don't need Jnana. But that Jnana is different, and this Jnana is different. Jnana means knowledge. This Jnana is different. This Jnana, this knowledge is called Bhagavad Jnana, or the knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is very important for a living entity to get. So when this living entity, this Nitya Baddha Jiva or eternally conditioned souls are eternally residing in this material cosmic realm, even after destruction, these living entities just go back into the body of Mahavishnu, Karanadakshayi Vishnu, who sleeps in the Karana ocean, right? So the only way and the real nature or real identity of this living entity is that it is full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Satchid and Anand Swarupa, this living entity is. And because of eternally, this living entity does not possess Bhagavad Jnana or knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why from time immemorial, this living entity is called conditioned. And because of that reason, material nature, modes of material nature, or Maya Devi, who is at the back of the Lord, these kind of jivas or living entities are also staying at the back of the Lord. And Maya, potency of the Lord, just grab this living entity and cover it with avidya shakti. And this avidya is full of ignorance, and full of ignorance or tamogun. And one more layer is also there on the consciousness of this living entity, which is of fruitive baggage. So fruitive baggage, avidya, and also false ego. And then the story goes on that we get the subtle elements, chitta, and then buddhi, and then ahankara is there, chitta is there, portion of Mahatma we call, and all these things, and then subtle senses and gross body, and then different species, and the story just goes on. So this only the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee can give it to us. And a devotee, Vedavyas Muni, who is also an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, has given us this Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also eternal. It's not that the Srimad Bhagavatam is written in a specific time period. It's given to us. It's given to us here, but it's present all the time. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is that jewel which has been given to us. And Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who just comes once in a day of Brahma, specifically in the 28th Yuga cycle of 7th Manvantar, at the end of Draupadi Yuga, he just came little over 5,000 years ago. And 500 years ago, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the same identity of Krishna, who is the same real identity, Swayam Rupa Krishna, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came. So we are very fortunate that we are in this era of 7th Manvantara. So, and for us to understand Bhagavad Gyanam is, it's become very, very easy by the mercy of the leaders or the acharyas, because there are so many commentaries available on each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we read and we try to understand, we hear, then we can find out that, when we are doing this Vedi sadhana bhakti, then, the Lord we are worshipping, he is not any cheap, right? He is not just a boy who is running here and there naked and stealing butter and passing urine in the houses of gopis. No, he is the supreme Lord and the source, shelter, and a sustainer of everything. He is the only one. He is the Mool Narayan from whom everything is emanating. Right. So that's being said in chapter 6th. So chapter 5th is described about the process of creation, and chapter 6th, this particular chapter 6th, it started with so there were 6 questions which were asked by Narad Muni at the start of chapter 5th. The cause of all causes, the name of the chapter is, and he asked certain questions, 6 questions specifically. He asked about the characteristics of the universe. He asked about what is its shelter. He asked how is this universe being created, and also how is this universe being conserved, and this universe, who is the shelter of this universe, what it depends on, and also what it is composed of, what are the ingredients of this universe. So when we hear these questions and we can find the answers in Srimad Bhagavatam, so we can see that it's really very beautiful, because scientists, what they are doing, they can give us only few causes, like material and efficient causes of this material world. They can go up to certain level and prove some things, up to prove up to some things, prove up some things up to certain level. But Srimad Bhagavatam has the answer to even to the subtlest nature, from where even the subtle elements are coming from. And the unfortunate part is that in today's generation just want to believe on what the human bodies or human brains are saying, but they don't want to believe on the scriptures which are given, which are providing us all the information, with all the information, and the scriptures as the treasure of knowledge. Whatever we want to know, the information is right there in the scripture. And there are so many examples. I'm not going to go into that, because otherwise today's subject will not be getting covered. So, and the Brahma, Lord Brahma, he started giving answers to Narada. And starting this chapter 6, this chapter 6 basically talk about the ingredients, the 6th question of Narada, that what is this universe composed of? What are the ingredients of this universe? So this chapter is being named Purusha Shukta confirmed, because in Rig Veda there are certain slokas or verses which come those verses also are similarly present in this particular chapter. So that's why the Purusha Shukta prayers also contains those certain shlokas or verses. And there, because of the similarity being in this chapter, and this chapter is proving that the Lord Karanodakshai Vishnu, who is the who is Mahavishnu, who is the main king of the material realm, right? Out of these 3 Purusha, he is actually the material as well as the efficient cause of the entire cosmic manifestation. So we know that through Karanodakshaya Vishnu, we know how that Karanodakshaya Vishnu comes into picture, right? So the information of the expansions of Swayam Rupa, Lord Krishna, has been given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Laghu Bhagavad Amrita, and it's being explained very nicely. So we know, so I'm not taking all those above expansions, but Mahasankarshan expand, and expand as Mahavishnu or Karanodakshaya Vishnu lies on the Karanodak ocean, glances on material nature, and through that material nature we know that how 23 elements came, and these 23 elements prayed, and then Lord again sent his energy, everything amalgamates, and all the material universes come into different millions of material universes come into picture. And this, for our study, we just take one material universe, and this Karanodakshaya Vishnu, he enters after 1000 celestial years of inactivity, he enters into each of the material universe. And this Vishnu then this Vishnu is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So when we say that Karanodakshaya Vishnu is entering into each universe, that doesn't mean that this Karanodakshaya Vishnu is getting that it's not like that I am going from this room to other room. That means there will be no Madhavi Gaurangi in this room. No, it's not like that. Karanodakshaya Vishnu is expanding himself into the different universes, but Karanodakshaya Vishnu is still there as in the Karana ocean. So this Vishnu, the expansion of this Vishnu is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who goes in the universe and he sees that there is nothing dark, so he sleeps there and with his, in his own perspiration. And then this Garbhodakshaya Vishnu also have thousands of, so this Garbhodakshaya Vishnu also has thousands of head and thousands of legs, thousands of hands. And from his navel, thus in the stamp of his navel, the Virat Purusha, the material manifestation of Virat Purusha comes, right? But the soul of that Virat Purusha is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So what is happening? Let's just try to understand here. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary Sartha Darshini, he has given very nice explanation. The 23 elements through which all the universes came, also those 23 elements, they also present in the womb of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu in a form of a chunk. And then with the passage of time, this chunk, all the living entities are there in the chunk of that 23 elements. And then when the navel comes out and the lotus flower blossom, then the living entities just go in the whole of the lotus flower. And we call it an imaginary form, or we call it a material manifestation form of Virat Purusha, but the gross Virat Purusha comes. So the soul of the Virat Purusha, material manifestation of that Virat Purusha, is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So this Virat Purusha looks just like Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, but this Virat Purusha is material manifestation. And the subtle or the transcendental manifestation is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So the voice of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is transcendental, right? And from taking that voice, the Virat Purusha is producing a gross element, right? So this is a kind of the process which is going on. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's desire and the subtle organ, and then that subtle organ produces another subtle sense object, which we call tan mantras also. Subtle object like sound, taste, and form, all these things. And then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's gross subtle organ. That means Virat Purusha's gross organ is also is going to form from the subtle element of gross Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. It's just like I'm a body and I have a soul, right? Without soul, I cannot work. So this Virata Purusha, who is a material manifestation, his soul is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, right? Like that. So various elements, various products have been formed from the limbs of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, right? And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the only supplier of all the ingredients of the material um, manifestation. So all the elements are there, right? And all these elements are being produced by all these elements are produced by the power of this Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, right? But still the secondary creation has not been happened yet, right? The secondary creation is Visarga Srishti, which is going to be done or which is going to be performed by Brahmaji with the intelligence of, again, with the Supreme Lord, right? At this time, Brahmaji, at this time, Brahmaji is going to come on the lotus of, on the lotus. So this is the, I don't have the diagram, but here is the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Here is his navel. In navel, all the universes have come, all the 14 planetary system have come, all the elements have come, all the, powers of Varnashram system has come, everything has come, and on top of that there is a lotus, and in this lotus all the living entities are there, and on top of that the Brahmaji is there, right? And through the lens of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the subtle, and then the Virat is producing the products, right? Through different organs of the Lord, right? Like we have, and in text, from text 1 to 17, we have seen that how different organs of the Lord is producing different elements, like saptadhatu, all these body, bone, blood, all these saptadhatu is there, kapha, pitta, all these, and then clouds, lightning material, mountains, dharma for everyone, all these things from consciousness of the Lord, dharma for everyone, all these elements are there, not the original or the gross portions have yet been made. So this chapter basically comes under one of the topics out of 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Sarga, right? Sarga is primary creation, and the primary creation is being done by the Supreme Lord. So all the elements are present. And then thereafter, Brahmaji is explaining that Brahmaji just come on the lotus flower. And then from 18 to 22, there is a very beautiful description about the differences between the supreme spiritual world and the material world. The spiritual world is called Tripad Vibhuti, and the material world is called Ekpad Vibhuti. And why material world is called Tripad Vibhuti? Not only because the material world is 3/4 of the entirety, and this material world is 1/4 of the entirety, but because spiritual world has 3 qualities. And what are those 3 qualities? I believe that because we are on text 30, so all of us must have read about these 3 qualities. And that's why the spiritual world is called Tripad Vibhuti, because of the 3 qualities present in the spiritual world. And this also comes in the Paramatma Sandarbha of Sri Jiva Goswami, right? All these Sandarbhas are actually what? All these Sandarbhas are the commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam by Jiva Goswami, and he really break it down conceptually, and he is giving the references again and again from Srimad Bhagavatam. So so these 3 qualities, just for revision for me, or these 3 qualities are called Amritam. That means there is no death in the spiritual world. And what's the next quality? Abhayam. That means there is no fear in the material world. Oh, sorry. In the spiritual world, there is no fear. Fearlessness is there. Why there is fearlessness? Because there is no influence of time, right? So because of no influence of time, there is no change. So everything is there and everybody is enjoying. And who are living there? Nitya Siddha, the living entities. Nitya Siddha living entities along with Vishnu Tattvas and Shakti Tattvas are there in the spiritual world. So there is no fear at all. And what is the third quality? The third quality is Shemam, or happiness. There is always happiness. Why there is always happiness? Because there is no influence of anarthas, lust, anger, greed, lust, all these things are not there. So nobody is envious of each other. Nobody is, unhappy or with the service of other person, right? So when we develop this quality, when we see that other devotee is doing better than me and I'm not getting envious, at that time we can start thinking that, okay, I'm making some kind of progress. Because that this question most often I hear that, how you get to know that where are you in your sadhana. So many things, a scale has been given to us according to the scriptures or according to the books given to us by Rupa Goswami or Jiva Goswami. We can scale ourselves where we are, right? Even when we read the preface of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, I'm just writing this book as the remnants of Vrindavana Das Thakur, who has already given Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and he's suggesting the speakers to read Chaitanya Bhagavat, and he's saying that I'm writing it for the pleasure of Rupa Goswami and all these and Vrindavan Das Thakur. So how many times we do stuff for the pleasure of other devotee who is much better than us? No, if anyone is doing better than us, we don't feel good about it. So, that's the mood, and that's why they are acharyas and they are teaching us by their own example. And even Srila Prabhupada, in the starting of his book, he is writing, for the pleasure of my Guru Maharaj, or for the pleasure of before. And we can say, they are acharyas, they are teachers, they are exalted devotees. But this person is not an exalted devotee. He is envious. Why? What is the problem of me getting envious? But at the same time, we have to understand that these, whatever has given to us in writing to us, it has some purpose. And this purpose, although it's not an easy process, but at the same time, we all should try to, at least I should try to strive for in the right direction. Okay, so yeah, so Tripad Vibhuti and Ekpad Vibhuti had been described, and Ekpad Vibhuti, why this material world is called Ekpad Vibhuti, because this material world has the quality of Mritam. That means everybody is mortal here. So, and going forward, specifically in 23rd to text 30, now Brahmaji is explaining his own experience to Narad Muni. He said, okay, this has happened and I was being born on the lotus flower. I was there at that time. And because I was there at that time, so I heard Brahmaji heard about Tapa, and Brahmaji wanted to worship the Supreme Lord. And Brahmaji wanted to worship the Supreme Lord, and he wanted some kind of paraphernalia for that. Right? He wanted some kind of paraphernalia for that. Just give me a second. Yeah. He wanted some kind of paraphernalia for that. And just like we worship Mother Ganges, how we worship Mother Ganges? Just take the water from the river and just give it to it. And if we want to worship Mother Earth, we just use an incense, which is nothing but a product of earth, and we worship Mother Earth with that, right? So similarly, Brahmaji wanted to worship the Supreme Lord, and in order to worship Supreme Lord, Brahmaji wanted some kind of sacrificial ingredients for the sacrifice, right? And all these ingredients Brahmaji got from the limbs of the Supreme Lord. That means all the ingredients are arranged only by the Lord's limb, because at that time, all the elements, I said, right, all the elements were present and all the elements became manifested only with the bodily limbs of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And for the pleasure of the Lord, Brahmaji performed sacrifice through the ingredients which generated from the limbs of the Lord. And Brahmaji is explaining his own experience in these verses from 23 to 30th to Narad Muni, right? And then Brahmaji is saying that I did that because I established this procedure. So that's the reason that, you know, after that, I started this procedure. And because of that, all of you, the great sages, right? They started to they started to worship. Thereafter, the Manus, the fathers of mankind, great sages, forefathers, all these people, these people are not there yet. But Brahmaji is explaining to Narada that thereafter, that means after I did that and I created the Visarga Srishti, because when the conversation is happening between Narada and Brahma, at that time, the entire cosmic manifestation is there. But Brahmaji is saying, at that time, I worship the Lord using the sacrificial ingredients from the limbs, which were generated from the limbs of the Lord. Those elements I used, and then thereafter the Manus, which are going to come later in Visarga, right? Fathers of mankind, great sage, forefather, learned scholars, Daityas, and mankind perform sacrifices meant to please the Lord. I'm sorry, my son, he is not well and he was crying, so I was just texting my husband to take care of him. I'm really sorry. So, okay. So yeah. So all these ingredients, through all these ingredients, Brahmaji worshipped, and Brahmaji is saying in here in this particular text 30 that thereafter the Manus, father of mankind, all these Prajapatis and great sages following my example, when they are going to come, they started performing the sacrifice, and these sacrifices are just to please the Supreme Lord. So here the information, and the Prabhupada is also saying that the devotee of the Lord, because Brahmaji is also a devotee of Lord, and the only duty of a devotee is to please the Lord. And Prabhupada in the purport is saying the devotees of the Lord are eknishtha, or absolutely attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, they have practically no time to seek the benefits of the material facilities. So this also has been given in Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, that, you know, a devotee of the Lord, when he start worshipping the Lord, then all these benefits start coming onto him. All these benefits start coming onto him, right? And these benefits are, we know, I mean, in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Kleshagani, Shubda, Moksha Lagrakrit, Sudurlabha, Sandrananda, Visheshatma, Shri Krishna Akarshani. So all these things are there, but the main objective of the devotee is always to please the Lord and to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Sam Siddhir Haritoshanam. All the activities which we are doing, that specifically a devotee, he always perform any kind of activity just to please the senses of the Lord. And that's the message. That's the message which we can derive from today's discussion, that whatever we do, the only thing which we should be doing is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with this, I'm going to start here. If anybody has any questions or any comments or addition, please go ahead at this time. Thank you so much for giving your rapt attention to me. I'm sorry for little bit of, little bit of disturbance during the class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for giving such a wonderful class, explaining the Vishnus and their activities and comparing things in the material world and even talking about the things in the spiritual world, what's there, what's not there, all of that. There's quite a bit of detail. And as far as we know you're a mother, therefore, things would happen in the house and you have to take care of the children. So we knew there had to be a good reason why he stopped briefly. So, and you explained it, so there's no problem at all. So, dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself and ask questions or share some realizations or connect what you've heard to other things that you've heard in other lectures, just to express yourself in Krishna Katha, which would be very, very nice. So if you have any question, just either unmute yourself and ask right away, or you can raise your hand electronically and I'll call on you. In the meantime, I want to ask Mataji if you can explain a little bit of the question of time in the spiritual world. You touched on it briefly. So because people that tends to throw, those of us in the material world off, because we know time as basically three divisions: past, present, future. And so the spiritual world is not like that quite. So you talked on it briefly. I'm wondering if you could expand on it a little more.
Yeah, so because of the presence of Kala Shakti or time factor, this material world keeps changing, and that's the nature of this material world, and that's why 6 kinds of transformations are happening in the life of in a gross material body because of the presence of time. So the time factor is also present in the spiritual world, but it has no influence there because of the presence of Supreme Lord. And because of that reason, the Supreme spiritual world has one of the qualities which we just discussed, fearlessness, abhayam. Abhayam is there because there is no transformation is happening, no old age, disease, no death, no birth is there. So because of the lack of influence of time, the potency of time is zero. And even in this material universe, we can see as we go up, 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 the time is getting slower, right? Relatively lesser. So we know that one day of Brahma is like so slow that, we can't even believe that 1,000 yuga cycles equivalent one day of Brahma. And so when it goes in the Paravyoma, the time factor, it's completely just loses its potency. So the time factor is just standing there and doing nothing. And in Goloka Vrindavan, it just, accepting the commands of Krishna and doing whatever Krishna is saying. So everyone is serving. So the fearlessness is there. And that's one of the path of a spiritual world. That's why this spiritual world, as I said, is called Tripad Vibhuti, because of the presence of 3 qualities in the spiritual world. So the time has no influence in the spiritual world. There are various millions of Vaikuntha planets in there, where there are millions of Vishnu Tattvas available. Shakti Tattvas are there, Nitya Siddha Jivas are there, enjoying there, but no time is there. I mean, time is there, but no influence is there. You are muted, Prabhu.
Yeah, I know. I'm mute. Thank you very much for the explanation. So it's the influence of time that's actually absent in the spiritual world. Okay. And as you explained, because of that, there's so many other qualities that bother us in the material world, but is not present in the spiritual world, fear being one of them. Okay. Thank you. All right, so dear devotees, any questions? Any other questions? We're almost at the top of the hour, but if the devotees have any final questions they want to ask, that would be good. If not, then we'd like to thank all of you for coming. It was very good attendance today. And thank you, Madhavi, for coming on. I think this is the last day of February. Yeah, I think so. So we're going to March as of tomorrow. All right, so devotees, have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious weekend. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhivya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again, Madhavi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nitya. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.